In a forest deep and white, where snowflakes danced in the frosty air, stood countless pine trees, tall and proud. They stretched their branches toward the winter sky, their needles glistening with ice, each one a picture of Christmas cheer. But nestled a little way off, where the shadows grew long, stood a small fir tree named Piney. He was not as tall as the others, nor were his branches as full. From his quiet spot, Piney watched as every year families would arrive, the laughter echoing through the woods. They would wander among the giants, their eyes full of wonder, searching for the perfect tree. One by one, the grandest trees were chosen. A family with 2 giggling children would pick a magnificent spruce. A young couple, hand in hand, would select a tall, elegant fir. With each chosen tree, a chorus of happy shouts would rise, and Piney would watch them go, a little piece of his hope go in with them. He'd hear whispers on the wind from the other trees. They want the tallest one. Or look how full his branches are. Piney would look at his own small frame and sigh. His needles didn't seem to sparkle as much, and his branches felt a little bare. He began to believe he wasn't good enough. Loneliness was a cold blanket, even colder than the snow that settled on his boughs. He longed to be part of the warmth and light he saw in the family's eyes, to stand in a cozy home, adorned with stars and glowing with happiness. But year after year, he was left behind. As the days crept closer to Christmas, the forest grew quieter. Most of the big trees were gone, leaving empty spaces like missing teeth in a smile. Soon, it was Christmas Eve. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange before giving way to a deep, velvety blue. A gentle snow began to fall, each flake a tiny, perfect star. A full moon rose, casting a silvery glow across the landscape, making the snow sparkle like a carpet of diamonds. Piney stood all alone, the silence of the forest broken only by the soft whisper of the wind and the gentle hush of falling snow. The moonlight caught the frost on his needles, and for a moment he seemed to glow with a soft, silvery light. But it was a lonely light, reflecting the sadness in his little wooden heart. He drooped his branches, a single, frozen tear like icicle clinging to a needle. This year, like all the others, he would spend Christmas alone in the cold. He was just a small, forgotten tree, not grand enough to be chosen, not bright enough to be seen. Just as he was about to give up all hope, a faint sound drifted through the still air. It was a crunching noise, the sound of footsteps on fresh snow. Piney perked up his branches, listening intently. The sound grew closer. Through the curtain of falling snow, he saw 3 figures emerge from the twilight. It was a family of father, a mother, and a small child bundled up in a red coat, holding their parents' hands. They didn't look like the other families Piney had seen. Their coats were worn, and they moved with a quiet purpose, their faces filled not with grand expectation, but with a simple, gentle hope. The father smiled down at the child. "We'll find one," he said, his voice a warm puff of air in the cold. "It doesn't need to be the biggest tree in the forest," the mother nodded, her eyes scanning the woods. "We just need one that feels special," she added softly, her gaze gentle and kind. The child, whose eyes were wide with the magic of Christmas Eve, let go of their parents' hands and took a few steps forward. The other families had always rushed past Piney's spot, their eyes fixed on the towering trees beyond. But this child saw him. Their little face broke into a wide, wondrous smile. "Look," the child whispered, pointing a midden-covered finger. "That one. It's glowing." The parents followed the child's gaze and saw Piney, standing alone under the moonlight, his frosted needles catching the silver light and radiating a soft, ethereal glow. They walked over to him, their footsteps barely making a sound. The mother reached out a gentle hand and brushed the snow from one of his branches. She didn't look at his size or compare him to the others. She looked at him as if he was the only tree in the entire world. "Oh," she breathed. "It's perfect," The father knelt down, his eyes twinkling. "You're right," he said to the child. "This one is very special indeed." A feeling Piney had never known before washed over him. It was a warmth that started at his roots and spread all the way to the tip of his highest branch. He wasn't being judged for his height or the fullness of his boughs. He was being seen for what he was, right at that moment, and he was being called perfect. With the utmost care, the family gently dug Piney from the snowy ground and lifted him up. The child reached out and hugged his trunk. "We'll take you home," the child promised. Piney felt safe and cherished as the father held him securely on the journey back. He swayed gently with each step, watching the snowy forest recede, no longer a place of loneliness, but a memory of where his journey began. They arrived at a small, humble cottage with a wreath on the door and a warm, yellow light spilling from the windows. Inside, the air was filled with the scent of cinnamon and gingerbread. It was a tiny home, but it was overflowing with love. They placed Piney in the corner of the living room, right next to a crackling fireplace. Then, the true magic began. The family brought out a box, not filled with shiny, store-bought baubles, but with treasures made by hand. The child carefully hung a string of popcorn and cranberries, its red and white a cheerful garland on his green branches. The mother placed delicate paper stars, each one folded with care, among his needles. The father wound a string of warm, twinkling lights around him, and with a soft click, Piney was bathed in a wonderful, golden glow. To top it all off, the child placed a hand-drawn angel at his very peak. Each decoration was a touch of love, a whisper of care. Looking at his reflection in the windowpane, Piney saw that he had never looked so beautiful. His simple ornaments shone with a light brighter than any crystal. Laughter filled the small room as the family sang carols and shared cookies. The child danced around him, their eyes sparkling with pure joy. Piney stood tall and proud, his branches no longer drooping with sadness, but held high with happiness. He was the center of their world, the heart of their Christmas. He realized then that he had never been unwanted or not good enough. He had simply been waiting for the right family, a family who wasn't looking for the biggest or the grandest tree, but for one that was just right for them. He wasn't a forgotten tree, he was their tree. Outside, the snow continued to fall, blanketing the world in a peaceful white. But inside the little cottage, Piney's lights glowed with all the warmth and love he had been given. His light shone so brightly, it seemed to outshine every star in the sky and every other tree left in the forest. Because Piney had learned the most wonderful secret of all, it isn't size or perfection that makes something beautiful. It is love that makes anything shine. Thanks for watching our story. We wish you a holiday season filled with warmth and light. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories from our channel. Merry Christmas!